Hey everybody, welcome back to the Eerie cast. This is Chris,
What's up? What's up, everybody?
with the double thumbs. My name is James, and since we've been doing kind of like a little bit of deep dives into the Amityville horror stuff, we found out that Top5s has a top five documentary about Amity horror, so maybe we'll get a little bit more insight on it.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
I briefly mentioned the Amityville horror in one of my top 5 ghost videos, and whilst researching the story, I discovered the real horror of what happened in that house and the claimed consequences of the horrific murders that were committed there. So here is the true tragic story behind the Amityville horror and why it's one of the world's most infamous believed haunted houses. It all started when 112 Ocean Avenue was sold by the Riley family to Ronald Sr. and Louise DeFeo on June the 28th, 1964. 10 years later, the family consisted of the couple, their sons Mark, John, Ronald Jr., and daughters Dawn and Allison. On the surface, the
Man,
family
that was a
seemed
big family.
perfect, successful.
Yeah,
That's a big family. Damn, that's what, how many kids? Four? Five?
yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that's a big family.
and it was Butch that killed them all, right, with the
Uh,
shotgun.
yeah, yeah.
And then
He was
who
the oldest.
in that picture? Who is it that they think it is? Is it Mark or John? They think's in that one picture with the little kid on the staircase.
Uh, to me, I think that's a good question. I don't know, but based on the picture, just by the picture and looking at these pictures, I'm gonna have to go with John because it kind of looks like that.
I think so. I don't know. I think you might be right though. Hmm.
Funny. Well, I shouldn't say funny, but what's interesting, right now that house is someone lives there right now, right? From what I've been hearing,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Supposedly they're not even hearing anything, right? Like that's what, from what I've heard.
Yeah. I don't. How
Like
long have they
a
been living there now? 20 something years.
couple years, yeah.
And
Nobody has
they.
complained about anything.
Yeah. There's no issues. No possessions. No ghost stuff. But I mean,
Hmm.
who knows? Maybe they're just being either quiet about it, or maybe they're just really nothing's going on with them.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. All right.
And happy, but behind closed doors, Ronald Jr., known as Butch, was growing increasingly violent towards the family.
Hmm.
He often fought with his mother, and in an attempt to solve his problems, they placed their son into psychiatric care. This unfortunately proved to be futile, as Butch refused to cooperate with counselors. To try and keep their son stable, Ronald and Louise started giving Butch whatever he wanted, buying him stuff and throwing money at him.
Hmm.
But this too just fueled things further as he was spending the money on drink, LSD, and heroin.
Damn.
His erratic behavior
Oh,
escalated, and on the evening of November
So I never heard about that. I never heard about him doing drugs and stuff.
yeah, I would imagine. Imagine him doing an act like that. I'm assuming he was maybe on some drugs. I don't know. I'm not surprised.
Mm, this is starting to get less and less of like a possession and more like he's just straight up crazy.
Yeah.
the 13th, 1974, Butch raced into his local bar, Henry's, and shouted, "Please help me, I think my mother and father are shot." Taking Butcher's car, his friends raced to 112 Ocean Avenue. They entered the dark, unlocked house, and the family dog started barking wildly. As the group of men made their way upstairs, they were met with a horrific scene. The lifeless bodies of Ronald
Oh,
and Louise DeFeo were sprawled on their bed. Soon after, the men also discovered the bodies of the DeFeo children, Dawn, Allison, Mark, and
Jesus.
John. All 6 of the
huh.
family members had been shot whilst they slept. Butch soon became a suspect, and after questioning, he thought mafia hitman Louis Fellini was responsible for his family's death, and kept up this claim through many hours of questioning.
I never heard about that either. The mob is involved somehow?
I think I did hear about that, but I don't know. I don't know if that's
I don't know.
how they
That's
start making stories up. So. The mob.
Detectives kept Butch in the cells and returned to the house, where they discovered boxes of .35 caliber ammunition in his room. It was an exact match to the bullets used to kill
Wait,
the
pause it.
family.
So, is he still alive?
I don't know.
Does it ever say whatever happened to him? Because I don't remember him dying.
I don't know that's the problem. I don't know the real story. I just know like the movie stories.
Yeah, like that's weird.
So I don't know if he's really alive or not. So it's
Yeah, that is weird.
kind of messes with my head a little bit right there.
Right.
Maybe he'll say it in this documentary.
Yeah, let's see. Let's
Hopefully.
just hear. Yeah, let's see.
Butch was arrested and charged with the killings, but continued to protest his innocence. After further questioning, he finally said, "It all started so fast. Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast." Butch was given 6 consecutive life sentences for killing his family and is currently held at Green Haven Correctional Facility in New York. Over the years, Butch has changed his story of the killings many times. One time he said a demon had possessed his soul and told him to kill his family, and his latest claim is that his sister Dawn carried out the murders, so he killed her. So that is the story behind the murders, but this is only the beginning for the 3-story Dutch colonial house in Amityville.
Huh.
After the murders, the house was put up for sale, and during the summer of 1975, the Lutz family, George, Kathy, and their 3 children from a previous marriage, viewed the house and fell in love with it. They were made aware of what had happened, but decided they could live with its tragic past, and were thrilled that they had such a beautiful house for only $80,000. Before moving in, they had the house blessed, and
That's pretty
apparently
cheap,
when
is it?
blessing one
$80,000? That's pretty cheap, right? For a
Uh,
house?
yeah. I mean, it's still back in the late 70s, early 80s. So I mean, it's
Oh, so
probably
that's
still
pretty high
cheap
then.
in the New York area.
Okay, because 30, I'm like 80,000. I'm thinking that house is probably worth more now, right?
I mean,
Um,
maybe. I mean, I'm sure it's got some kind of intrinsic value because horrific things happen there.
I don't know. The design of this house is very like weird. Like I don't know, just the shape of the windows and I don't know. There's something about this house.
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't it
I
give you the
I'm not
creeps?
really sure. I'm not really familiar with like a Dutch colonial, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I know more about like whatever regular
yeah,
colonial houses.
right.
Hey, but look it up real quick. Is he alive still? Because this video's like
What's his name?
9 years old.
What's his name?
Defoy, Butch
What's his
Defoy,
name? Oh, Butch. Okay, Butch. Yeah, put it right there. Let me see something because it's not coming
Ronald
out. What's his name?
Defoy. I want to use his real name.
Okay. Okay, so he was born in 1951 and he died in 2021
Oh wow,
at
not that
age
long ago.
69. So he lived a very long time.
Hmm, that's super interesting.
Yeah. Death. He died. Also death was never released. This is yeah.
Like how he died was never released.
Yeah, how he died. Yeah, it was just this is unknown.
Huh.
Like old age maybe.
I mean, 69 is not that old, but I mean, I guess when you've been in prison for like the last whatever 40 something years, probably.
Very interesting.
is that his sister Dawn carried out the murders, so he killed her. So that is the story behind the murders, but this is only the beginning for the 3-story Dutch colonial house in Amityville.
Dutch
After the
colonial.
murders, the house was put up for sale, and during the summer of 1975, the Lutz family,
It does look
George,
like a
Kathy, and
barn.
their 3 children from a previous marriage,
Yeah,
viewed
for
the
sure.
house
Yeah,
and
that's what I
fell
was
in
saying.
love
Like
with
a
it.
barn.
They were made aware of what had happened, but decided they could live with its tragic past, and were thrilled that they had such a beautiful house for only $80,000. Before moving in, they had the house blessed, and apparently, when blessing one room upstairs, the priest heard a male voice shout, "Get out." He did not tell the family of this voice, but warned them that he felt a bad presence in that room and advised them not to use it as a bedroom. Almost as soon as the family moved in, strange things started to happen. There were cold spots all over the house, strange smells ranging from perfume to excrement, jolting sounds at night that would wake the family, and the house would fill with swarms of flies, yet no
Ooh.
other house on the street would experience them. And strangely, the flies apparently originated in the room where the priest felt an evil presence. After just a few days of being in the house, instead of settling in and enjoying their new home, George was becoming
Pause it.
increasingly volatile.
Huh.
So I'm reading right here that apparently the house was originally in 112 Ocean Avenue, but then it was moved to 108 Ocean Avenue because there was too many unwanted attention from visitors. So there
What?
was a change, supposedly.
So they moved the whole house down a block?
That's what I'm so yeah, that's what I'm assuming, yeah.
That's kind of dumb. But it's still the same house.
Yeah, another thing that's interesting, it said that in 2017 it sold for $605,000.
Hmm.
605,000.
It's probably still
That's
cheap.
still that's still cheap though because a lot of houses, especially here in LA, they're over a million.
And it's New York,
Where you're
so
pretty yeah, so it's
it's probably a bit
very
more.
interesting. Yeah. All right.
And was becoming detached from the rest of the family. He became obsessed with the fireplace, often complaining that despite a roaring fire, the house was too cold. He would wake up at 3:15 every night without fail, which is thought to be around the time the DeFeo murders took place. Kathy also started to display unusual behavior and was convinced someone was touching her. The Lutz children began arguing between themselves, something they never did before, and this resulted in their parents beating them mercilessly.
Dang.
The family also claimed the walls would ooze with green slime and objects would fly across rooms. Their youngest child, Missy, apparently spoke to an imaginary
Okay, so
angel
I got an
called
update.
Jody that could.
Huh?
So apparently, a family purchased it in 2017. Remember the one I told you earlier?
Yeah.
But apparently they moved because they were experiencing some paranormal activity. So it says at this time the house is still for sale. So something, so this just happened recently. So
Wow.
something is going on in that house, yeah. So this is just,
So, well, where did we find out about that family that lives there now then? That supposedly they haven't dealt with anything.
I don't know. I just this is the late the Lutz family. I don't know, or something like that.
The
They're
Lutz
the ones
family,
that
these
moved.
guys? We're watching
Family
them right now, the
personality,
Lutz family.
the family member that claim experienced paranormal activity shortly after. Okay, no, I'm tripping. No, I'm looking at something else. No, no. So they bought it in 2017 for 605. It doesn't really say the owners though. It doesn't say the names though. That's what I'm trying to figure.
Huh. But they moved
But
out soon
yeah, at the
after?
moment, yeah, yeah. So at the moment, right now, it's still on sale, like back again. So I don't know.
Huh. That's weird.
The house is worth more.
Who said that they were still, someone was still living there, not having any issues? I don't remember
Yeah,
now.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. Weird.
Yeah. All
Could
right,
change
continue the
shape and
video.
form, often presenting itself as a large pig. Kathy and George apparently once witnessed Jody when they said they
Oy.
saw two red eyes peering through their bedroom window, and Missy later confirmed that it was Jody trying to get in. After a couple of
What?
weeks, the Lutz family stopped going out, preferring to invite friends around instead, and it's said that
You
their
know, we gotta
friends
watch
also
that movie.
heard
We haven't
strange
seen that
noises.
movie, dude. I've never seen it. I've never seen this movie.
I want to
I've
say
seen
I
the only one.
saw it as like a kid, maybe, but
Yeah, we gotta watch this. I haven't seen the original OG one.
yeah. And I think of the original, I think there's 3 or 4 movies.
The heck?
Yeah. And then there's like a couple like weird spin-offs and there's a couple of weird remakes. But yeah, there's like Amityville 1 through 3, and then I think there was like a fourth one, and then there was like like I said, there's a couple spin-offs, and then the Ryan Reynolds one, and
Yeah.
Noises
Okay,
and
so at the
unexplained footsteps
moment,
around
okay,
the
here we
home.
go. So yeah, so I found it. So at the moment, David and Donnie are living there, and they're
David
not
and Dawn.
reporting anything. Yeah, so I'm tripping. So they're not at the moment. They're not reporting anything.
Okay, so
Donnie
there are people
and
living there.
David. Yeah. So at the moment, yeah, there are people living there.
For the Lutzes, it was a great relief to them that it was not their imagination and something was actually happening, but this by no means put a dampening on the activity. One night, George was woken up by the sound of a marching band in his living room. When he
A
went down there to
marching
see what was
band.
going on, all of the furniture had been pushed
Oh.
to one side and the room was filled with an eerie silence. The final straw for the family happened the night before they decided to leave the house. George was lying awake in bed and the rest of the family were asleep when Kathy suddenly lifted up off the bed. George then got the feeling someone had got into bed beside him and he was completely paralyzed, but could hear the children's beds slamming up and down in the next room. Their pet
Hmm.
dog, who was staying in the room with them, apparently started going round and round in circles and began to throw up. By the
Jeez.
morning, George had had enough and the family fled the house that afternoon on January the 14th, 1976, leaving most of their belongings behind. After they left, the famous paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren and the Duke University professor and the president of the American Society for Psychic Research visited the home. During their research, they told of a feeling of terror whilst there and concluded the home was haunted. The Lutz's account of what happened in the house has since spawned an entire industry of books, documentaries, and a blockbuster Hollywood movie with several sequels. It made the Lutzes very wealthy people, which is why skeptics argue that the whole thing was made up and was just a plot to get the Lutzes out of financial trouble. Recently, Daniel Lutz, who was one of the children in the home, came forward and spoke of the terrifying experiences the family had in the house. So, needless to say that everything surrounding the Amityville house especially the believed paranormal activity, has caused it to become one of the most known
John.
haunted houses out
Yeah, that
there.
picture is
And real
crazy.
or not,
That
it
one.
seems our fascination with the house and the events that took place there will forever leave us wondering what really went on during the Lutz's residence. So, that is the story of the Amityville house. I hope you've enjoyed, and see you in the next video.
All right.
Ooh,
So personally, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's anything there. I
really?
think what happened is this is what I think. I think obvious that guy killed the whole family, right?
Right.
And I just don't think there's any ghosts. Like the only one that kind of makes me think is that one with the boy, that little picture with the boy, because that looks very legit. But I
Is it
don't know,
is
man.
it
I don't.
weird that maybe okay, let's say whatever Butch Ronald, he was having a psychotic episode, not really helped with drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. Kills his whole
Right.
family, blames it on being possessed, whatever. Which in some respects, you are kind of possessed when you are having psychotic
Right.
episodes. Like a lot
Right.
of
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
say that,
Yeah.
like it's not them,
Yeah.
it's like something else takes over
Yeah.
them, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
If you're Christian, you're gonna say that it's a demon, because you know how there's spirits for everything. So
Right, right. So
yeah.
then,
So
what
yeah.
if the ghosts and the eerie issues that they're having with the Lutz family is because of this traumatic experience?
Hmm.
Like they see the kid, the walls are bleeding green, they're having all kinds of weird paranormal issues because of the traumatic,
Right.
psychosemantic like problem that happened there one faithful night, and that created the paranormal activity that's going on with the Lutzes and or current residents.
Because according to what I was telling you earlier, um, the new people in there, they're not complaining about anything. And I feel like what you said the last time is true, that if you give it power, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
things start coming out. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you live there, you know what I mean, if you're like all paranoid and shit,
Well, I mean, think
then you
about
are
it too.
gonna
Like,
give it.
how many times has that house been like blessed?
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing is that a lot of people have moved over into that house over the years. That's, they bought it, then they moved on, then another person buys it.
Yeah.
So it's not even stable. Like it's not even someone hasn't been there for 40 years. It seems like they keep swapping owners.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I said,
And the,
it could be that case. Could be. I think in the movies always show like there's something demonic
yeah,
in the background
right.
kind of thing going on. But what if the
Uh,
true story is that the brother, the son, went crazy, killed the whole family, and then that is what ended up creating like that paranormal activity, that ghost activity,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
furniture lifting up off the ground, stuff like that. Just like that trauma that, like we said before, like the psychic impression. Like the psychic impression of all that trauma and stuff like that. I mean, I'm
So
I'm going out
question.
on a limb there, but I mean,
Okay, let me ask you this: would you want to live there
I don't know. Like,
if you had a chance
well,
and it was
so
cheap?
would I know that the house is super duper haunted, or would I know that like the whole family just got murdered there?
You basically know the history, and
The whole
especially like
history.
now, let's just say now that we're just doing this video and some opportunity happens and you're able to go there and you get it really cheap. Would you take that house, or you just be like, uh, personally, I don't think I would. I don't, even
Yeah,
though
I
I
don't
don't
know.
believe it, but I still wouldn't do it because definitely
I
people die there. So I don't
I
know. I
mean, I
can't.
I
I
might.
can't.
I think if my situation called for it, if I needed to or whatever.
Just think about it. If you're like in the at night and you're just kind of there, like the first couple, you're gonna be fucking scared as shit. Just thinking at night, like the history.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. I mean, you're definitely gonna every little noise you're gonna think it's a ghost or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you're gonna be so paranoid. Like I just can't deal with that. So I'm like, nah. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's. I don't know. I'm like 50-50, but at the same time, I don't know what I think about this place.
I mean, what do you think
Like
happened? Because like my
I
thing
think
is that maybe this
that for
guy
sure.
created that situation.
Oh, like okay.
Do you think that there was demons already there,
No,
and
I
then
don't. I
this?
don't think so. No, I think it did happen. There was definitely a murder there. Murders, I should say.
Right.
You know what? You know what kind of throws me off is that picture with that boy, because at the time you couldn't do any of that. There was no Photoshop at that time, you know.
Right, right. I
So
mean, you can still like
I
fake a
know
photo. It just took a little bit more finessing.
yeah, yeah, but it'll be tough. But at that time, it's like it's I don't know. That picture kind of throws me off. Like, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It just looks too fucking real, man.
That's what I'm
It
saying
just,
too.
it
Like,
just,
if this is the only like photographic evidence or whatever that they found,
it's crazy. I don't know.
then maybe my theory is more correct that Butch created this paranormal activity
Hmm.
that it wasn't there to begin with. I don't
Now,
know.
what's interesting is that the family moved in 66 or 67, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, and then
So
no,
what's the history?
the Lutz got there in '76. I think he said. Fuck
Okay, that's the person that made the story, right? Or the book, right?
man.
That's the family that made.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay,
like the
so before,
hauntings are based
okay,
on them.
okay, but before that, it was the murder that happened in 67, right?
I'm gonna say
66, something like that.
yes because
Okay,
I'm
so
very
my
bad at
question
paying
is,
attention to dates.
what was before that? Who was there before? It doesn't really say anything. Like that's what I'm kind of like. What's the history on the house? Doesn't
True.
because
I
imagine
mean,
there was maybe
look it up real quick. See
something.
see what's the history on the house. Like who
When
owned
was
it before the Defoes or whatever their
or
names
should I
were.
say when was it built?
Yeah, I mean it says a Dutch colonial, so I'm assuming
That's
like
old.
1800s or
That's
something.
yeah. Let me see. When was it built? Oh shoot! So it was built in 1927.
Huh.
So that's interesting. So I'm starting to think maybe the possibility it was already haunted, and that's why he was getting those possessed. That's
Does it
old.
have any history about who lived there beforehand or?
No, no, it doesn't say anything. But that kind of throws me off because from 1927 to like the 60s, the murder happened. That's a long time. Like crazy.
I mean, it could be too the people that lived in there for the first 40 years lived there for the first 40 years too. Who knows anything
What if
happened?
a boy? What if this boy? And it's not even none of the family. Some other random boy.
It looks kind of Dutch to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. To me, this is the picture that makes me like a believer in this story. Just the damn picture.
Right, but if we believe this is John DeFoy, then I think maybe nothing was wrong with his house, and Butch created the situation that is now there, like the ghosts, the
Yeah,
paranormal activity,
yeah,
everything.
yeah. 1927.
Because everyone thinks he lied about being possessed and stuff, and then the more they look into his history, it's like, oh, okay, cool. He was having psychotic episodes. He was being weird.
Mm.
He was trying
Right.
to more than likely he was trying to like level himself out using drugs and alcohol. That's a lot of unfortunately a lot of people with mental illness do that, and
Yeah, yeah,
unfortunately create a situation where he needed to kill his whole family,
yeah.
and then ended up making this happen. Like, and then now the Lutz family was haunted in that home.
So okay, so the movie is not when he kills the family, is it? Or is it just more like the haunting of it? What's the
It's
movie
the
about?
haunting of it. It's like the Lutz family, if I remember correctly.
Wait, so there's no movie of like the guy killing
I'm
the
pretty sure they touch on it. I mean, I don't know if there's
oh
like a full
that
movie.
would be yeah, it would have
We
been
gotta
crazy. There
watch
was
it.
a
Like I
full
said, it's been a
yeah,
long time since I seen it.
we gotta watch that. Like yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I thought it was more like the story of like the guy, you know what I mean, killing the whole family, like a rich story of that, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Not like a little side thing.
Yeah, no, the story's mostly of the haunting, and
The
then the
f-
Warrens
yeah,
going
no,
in, and yeah.
okay. So that's different. Okay, interesting. Okay, all right,
All right, that was a nice, cool little
interesting
documentary. We
video.
learned a little bit more.
Yeah. One last thing. Do you think it's real though, this picture, or you think it's fake?
I think it's real.
Okay.
I definitely think it's real. I think the house is
Oh,
haunted now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for joining us. We've been the Eerie Cast. Please like and subscribe, and let us know. You think Amityville horror is horror, or things just
Yeah.
misunderstood
Let us.
ghosts?
Yeah. Let us know. What do you guys think?
All right, laters.
Later.